Okay, who else is on hold
shit.
here?
Sorry, I just hung up on that
Oh,
guy.
no,
I'm
you just
so
hung up on. Call back.
I'm so sorry. Call back.
Nick fucked up. Call back. All right.
I'm worse than Bree.
From the Asgard Company Studios in beautiful Wichita Falls, Texas, from the finest mind in the modern fitness industry, the one true voice in the strength and conditioning profession, the most important podcast on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, starting Strength Radio.
Welcome to Starting Strength Radio. Thank you, Mark Wolf, for that wonderful introduction you do for us every week. You probably hadn't been paid in a long time. Get Wolf a check.
Okay.
Just something.
Done.
Send him something in the mail. Just because every week he comes in here and intros the show, and it's just a fabulous job. He hadn't been paid in a long time.
We get a cup of coffee every once in a while.
Well, yeah. We get him some coffee. Get him a sandwich. Get him an Allsup's burrito.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many people in the world don't know what an Allsup's burrito is?
I didn't know until I moved here.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. They're like $1.29.
Yeah.
They ought to pay you $5 to eat that goddamn
If you catch it at the right time, it's delicious.
Really?
About right after they made it is the only time it's any good.
Right. But that happens, what, once a week?
I don't even know, yeah.
God almighty. Allsup's is a little convenience store chain here. They all smell the same. If you go into Allsup's to get gas, you don't pay at the pump, or your judgment is bad enough you actually walk in the store, you come back out of the Allsup's and you smell like Allsup's for about an hour.
The fryer is next to the cash register.
Right. No shit. You'll smell like Allsup's for 1 clock hour after you get out of the store. So you go in to buy a bag of Cheetos and a Diet Coke. You're fucking up, I'm telling you. Don't do that. All right. So this week is a live Q&A where you call us, me and Nick, and you talk to me through Nick. All right, that's the actual procedure. All right, and we've been enjoying doing it like this. It's entertaining. We never know what you're going to say, what harebrained ass questions you've come up with for the show today. We don't know, and that's kind of what makes it fun. Sometimes they're good questions. Sometimes they're as bad as comments. From the haters. Oh, we got some doozies this week, right? This first one's actually kind of cool. This podcast is the next logical step in racism. Pink supremacy. Now, I like this so much that I think we're going to do a shirt. A pink supremacy shirt. Pink supremacy, pink privilege. What was the third one?
Pink activism?
No, pink privilege, supremacy, pink nationalism. That's it. Pink nationalism.
What about privilege?
Pink privilege.
No, that's not
I said
really
that. Right?
Oh, you did, yeah.
Pink supremacy, pink privilege, pink nationalism. What's a pink nation look like?
Like you.
It's like a whole bunch of millions of people like me.
Shit.
Oh, shit. Pink supremacy. I love that. Okay.
What about pink guilt? That'd be the next shirt.
All right. Rip is like a piece of jagged, hardened steel. Unfortunately, steel rusts. And in Rip's case, turns to the color pink.
There we go. There it
See?
is.
People have got their thinking caps on, don't they? Right? Here's a good one. Phil Farmer says, I can't watch this douche who's never done anything talk about doing something right. Oh, here's a response to the Briggs podcast. Y'all are effing. It says that EFFING, effing clueless, and the problem, because we presented the data, and that, of course,
Is
the
the
problem.
problem.
Is the problem. Yes, in fact. Rip, why don't you have any colored people employees?
That's the pink supremacy. That's what it is.
Pink supremacy. You know, pink's the only non-color, really. White's a color, brown's a color, black's a color, green, blue, purple, all that shit. Pink is neutral. Pink is the new white.
Works for me.
Don't we have any colored people employees? Look, I didn't use that term. Colored people, I didn't say that. This douchebag here said that. Not me. All right. This is actually pretty good. Wow, this guy makes me sleepy. Oh, shit. Oh, here's one. Are you trying to make a propaganda here about bodybuilding? 'Cause bodybuilders are strong people. They just can't lift big weights. Now, there's some insight, right? But what's defined big weights? Power lifting, it's all about learning moving big weights. That's it. The bigger a muscle, the stronger it is. So yeah, every argument about bodybuilders being weak is officially destroyed.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
don't know what else there is to be said, you know.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. To follow up, the reason I don't want to do sets of 5 like Rip and Dorian Yates is because I don't want my long head of the biceps to be rolled down to my forearm. Dorian tore both his biceps and triceps from doing sets of 5. And Rip obviously tore off his biceps doing that.
Obviously.
It's
Obviously.
Let's train like those dudes. Oh, shit. Things about me are so obvious.
Obviously, yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this podcast. Oh, shit. Oh, here's a good one. These people are pathetic. No muscle definition. Who's he talking about here? These people.
What video is it? Can you tell?
Let me see. It says from weak bodybuilder to strong dude.
Oh, that's Jim Clare in Denver.
It's the Denver
guy.
The member up at Denver.
Yeah.
All right. These people are pathetic. He's pathetic, by the way.
All right.
These people. Me, too.
Yeah.
Right? No muscle definition, nothing of value. Because the only thing of value is muscle definition, right? Just tubs of lard, proud of arbitrary numbers that don't even matter.
All right, man.
Oh, you've got to love it. You've got to love this razor insight. Okay. Let's see. What else we want to talk about? Oh, this is a good one. Francesco says, it's ironic how this guy talks about the government selling you bullshit because they make money off of it, while he wrote a book he's trying to sell us to make money off of. This is in regards to the Briggs podcast. The government's selling you shit to make money off of it? What the hell are you? Where have you been? What the hell are you talking about? You think the government is in the mask manufacturing business? Oh, my God.
I don't know if this is an improvement or we're witnessing the devolution of the commenters.
We're witnessing, that's a distinct possibility. It could be that
I mean, we're getting the illiterate
the
motherfuckers.
socializing. Yeah, we're getting illiteracy here, as I'm about to point out, and we're getting the effects of social isolation and obediently wearing a mask.
That's
I
true.
think everybody has a
CO2
staph
poisoning.
infection in their brain.
CO2 poisoning, yeah.
CO2 poisoning, staph infection, low O2 sat as a result of this mask shit. Hashmukh Mahil says, I have read program routine It Very Bad that you proscribe to squats 2-3 times. You will end up in wheelchair. The letter U will end up in wheelchair because you have dried joints.
Dried?
Dried joints.
Imagine
Because
being that guy and
you
going
proscribe to
Yeah.
squats 3 times.
going on a strength training channel and thinking your joints are going to be dry. There we go. Beautiful.
Well, anyway, that's enough wasting of time today with comments from the haters.
Well,
Don't need that pen. Got no paper. I, unlike most people, do not scribble on the table. You know why? Because we pay good money for this table.
I think
Yeah,
$50.
why would I just? It's good money.
Yeah. I think actually this was free along with all the other stuff
Was
you
it?
bought.
This is the most beautiful table
It's great.
I've got.
That dude messed up selling us this.
He fucked up. He was just desperate.
Yeah.
He needed $50.
Yep.
Needed a bump. Got him at a moment of weakness.
Yeah, on a low.
I mean, look at this. It's beautiful. Solid wood.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. It's got Scott's liquid gold on it.
Well, it needs to have Scotch liquid gold.
Maybe it needs another
doesn't
coat.
look like it's got any on it right now.
Oh, it was pretty
but
bad at first. Bree got out there with a sandpaper, hand sanded it,
Hand sanded this thing.
and then liquid golded it.
You know, when you put liquid gold on this damn thing, this is gorgeous. It's a pretty table.
Yeah.
And here I am reading comments from the haters off of this beautiful fucking table. It's wrong at several levels, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's disrespectful of the table.
We should bring out the IKEA
You like
table.
my cup here? My Canadian friend bought this.
Oh, a
for me.
Canadian with a sense of humor.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
that's good.
I think it's a photograph, actually.
Well, okay.
Well, okay.
What do you want to do? Do you
All
want
right, I
to
think
take
we
a
ought
phone
to take
call?
some calls. Let's talk to these people.
All right.
They've been waiting with how's their breath? It's always baited
It's
when
baited.
they've been waiting.
Yeah.
Right.
Rated. All right. Who's the lucky caller? Let's hear.
Helen,
How's it going?
it's going so well. It's just difficult to describe how well things are going. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, all things considered.
Good.
I had a quick question about programming for the post-novice early intermediate,
Okay.
specifically for one who wants to cut some body fat but retain as much muscle as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better to go, just for the purpose of retaining muscle, higher volume or higher intensity with less volume?
You know, this has been coming up so frequently over the past couple of years. This insane ex-phys idea that high volume means hypertrophy and high intensity means something completely different, just real strong, small muscles. I don't understand where.
It's always tied to a body fat a recomposition deal, right?
Yeah.
Where if you're in a caloric deficit, you actually need heavier weight and less volume
Yes.
every time,
Yes.
right?
Sure, because the more volume you train under, the more recovery becomes a problem. And recovery requires calories. All right, here's a fundamental thing that most of you guys don't seem to understand. All right? if you are going to build muscle, then you are also going to be in a general anabolic state, which means that everything's going to grow. Now, that means that bone grows and connective tissue grows and body fat grows too. Now, you can skew that in the direction of muscle and away from body fat, but if you are going to gain 20 pounds of muscle, you're also going to gain, at minimum, probably 4 pounds of body fat along with it. And this, of course, is unless you're taking a whole bunch of drugs. All right? Let's say for a minute you're not taking a bunch of drugs. All right? You're going to gain 20 pounds of body weight, and you're going to have 16 pounds of that be muscle and 4 pounds of it be fat. That is pretty good. That is a pretty good body recomposition. And it's realistic as well. But it's not realistic to talk about gaining or maintaining muscle mass in the absence of a caloric deficit, because that doesn't happen. All right? One of the reasons bodybuilders will bulk, quote unquote, in the off season and get their body weight way up high, lifting heavy weights, is to grow muscle mass. That also grows body fat. And then it's time for a contest 4 months from now. And what do? They cut. And what happens on the cut is that body fat goes down, but so does muscle mass. And their job during that phase is to try to keep as much of that muscle as they can. And this is why drugs are very, very useful. Anabolic steroids are very helpful with that. They skew that equation toward retention of muscle mass and loss of body fat. But in the absence of better lifting through chemistry, you're going to the ratios change, but the general trend remains the same. If you're gaining muscular body weight, you're going to gain some fat. If you're losing body weight, you're going to lose some muscle. All at the same time. All these processes, they're not separable. All right? And the idea that high volume and high number, 8 to 12 reps, 5 to 6 sets, 8 to 12 reps, with 45 seconds between the sets, is somehow the key to all of this, is just a way for you to have an excuse to not get your deadlift up to 500 pounds. All right? What does the man's back with a 200-pound deadlift look like versus that same man with a 500-pound deadlift? Well, if you don't know the answer to that question, you need to think about it real hard. And then the second most important question becomes, how do you get your deadlift from 200 to 500? Fives. Okay? Now, if you have been training 15 years and you are making money on the bodybuilding circuit, then you're entitled to your own opinions about that. You may be wrong, but your genetics and your drugs may fix it up so it doesn't matter if you're wrong. But you kids in the audience who are trying to get big need to remember that strong is big, because the primary method by which a muscle gets stronger is hypertrophy. So if you cause the muscle to get stronger, you are creating the circumstances under which hypertrophy occurs.
Well, I think the fundamental problem is that the definition of strong is getting mixed up. So you've got people who are able to be convinced that heavy does not equal strong.
Yeah, it's like this fool that in the comments from the haters, you're just learning to lift heavier weights.
Right. Yeah.
It's a skill. See, it's not really a force production.
Well, it's both.
Event. It's a skill.
It's both, but it turns out that it also
it turns out that if you're not
producing strength.
Well, it also turns out that if you're not strong enough to lift it, that
you can't.
All the skill in the world is not going to. Yeah.
In the absence of caller, in the absence of very heavy weights, volume quote unquote volume is meaningless. It doesn't matter how much volume you do if it's not heavy enough to matter. And
five sets of 8 to 12 reps with 45 seconds rest at 135 on the deadlift
is CrossFit.
It
makes you yeah. And so the people who kind of who you see promoting this stuff are already either very, very strong and or on a lot of drugs, and don't really know what it's like to train normal people who are not already strong.
Right.
Or that maybe they don't train people at all. So if your goal is to change your body composition, unless you're deadlifting 600 plus pounds, you need to continue adding weight to the bar, reducing volume because you're in a caloric deficit. But really, I mean, unless you're obese, you probably shouldn't reduce calories at all, and just keep focus on getting strong. So in other words, if you're not squatting and deadlifting a whole bunch of weight, make that your focus, and the body composition stuff comes along. Unless you've been fat your whole life, you know.
It really is very simple. You train to get strong, and you eat to train to get strong. All right? And then if you find, as a 30-year-old man deadlifting 6 1/4, benching 4 1/4, squatting 6, that 25% body fat is just not tolerable, well, then do something about it. But if at any point prior to that you interrupt the natural process of this growth of muscle mass and strength, all you're doing is handicapping your ability to get stronger and thus bigger. Stronger is bigger.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know how, this ex-phys bullshit about, the first 6 months of training is nothing more than neuromuscular efficiency improvements, and there's no hypertrophy for the first. They just won't die.
Yeah.
It won't go away. I don't understand how this nonsense from college ex-phys has permeated an industry where every single time programming is done correctly, we see muscle growth taking place immediately. That's what we see. That's normal. That's what happens. All right? The other shit doesn't happen unless you're not eating enough. Your muscles get bigger starting the first day that you start training. And the reason for that is that the same stress that produces an increase in neuromuscular efficiency also produces hypertrophy. You can't separate the two effects, all right? Except that hypertrophy lasts. The potential for hypertrophy continues to develop long after neuromuscular efficiency peaks.
Yep.
All right? Thanks for the call.
The thing, the other part that goes along with this that everybody forgets is that strong is way further out than most men realize.
Yes.
We've got the 200, 300, 400, 500 deal, and that's just getting started.
That's first 9 months.
Yeah, and that's
first 9
that's where
months.
you need to get to. But strong is around there or beyond that, depending on how big you are naturally or how tall you are. Everybody thinks that when they're squatting 275, they're quote unquote strong, or deadlifting 315.
And you people don't understand a 315 deadlift. I mean, all of the girls in the gym can do 315. 315 is not a men's deadlift. It's this is a giant problem, because that impression persists up into the Division I college levels. If you're a D1 college strength coach and everybody on your scholarship teams are not deadlifting 450, you need to be fired, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. 450 is baseline strength for a young male. That's baseline strength. Any idiot can get a kid on a scholarship to a 450 deadlift. And if none of the people on your team is deadlifting 450, you need another job. Sell, insurance, real estate, air conditioning equipment. But don't be a strength coach because you don't know what the hell you're doing. All right, Simon, talk to me.
All right. So I talked to you a little over a month ago. We had a good conversation, I thought, about the latest political happenings of our time.
Right. Well, you thought,
Heading into the election now, less than a week out, I was curious if you have any hopes and dreams for a Trump presidency going forward. I got to say, I'm a little nihilistic about it. I didn't feel like he did a whole lot the past 4 years, even when he had all three branches for the first two of them. Seems like there's a sort of a callous indifference. I heard him at a rally about a week ago saying that he was aware of a lot of these tech problems in 2017, but he just didn't really take it seriously. So, I mean, he's basically admitting to gross incompetence there.
Oh, Simon, I don't think you can consider that the man's admitting to gross incompetence. I don't think that there's anything about Donald Trump that constitutes gross incompetence. Now, you and I may disagree with some of his priorities, but I think you'll have to admit that the lowest unemployment rate in several key demographics in the history of the statistic is quite an accomplishment. I think the removal. Simon, don't talk over me. I'm saying extremely brilliant shit here, and we're having a fight instead of a discussion. So, and I always win these things anyway. You know how I talk over everyone. So you know what I'm going to do. So shut up a minute. All right, you've got the lowest level of regulation in. Well, let me say, you've got the highest level of reduction of regulation in a long time. Long time. And you've got the lowest tax rate, the lowest effective tax rate in a long time. And let's look and see what that has done. It has accomplished all these other employment numbers that everyone's happy with, and everybody's working, and everybody's making money, and businesses were growing, and everything was just fine until, for some reason, this thing had to be shut down. Now, I don't think that it's terribly difficult to see the numbers that came out this week from the Department of Commerce, the statistics that came out in terms of GDP growth. And if you take the V out of that thing, then what you'll see is a continuation of the previous slope of that line. The reason for that is because that in macro, this is a very strong economy because of the things that Donald Trump caused to occur the first 3 years of his presidency. Now, no one is more aware of the fact that this COVID-19 farce has been the most significant disruption to the history of civilization, certainly since World War II, and probably including World War II. But and there's some stuff that Donald Trump needs to do.
Sure. I got to say though, if I may, about the economy, I don't think it's been as strong for everyone as you might think, or that the numbers might show. For example, you talk about lowest unemployment in several key demographics, but that excludes one that I think is perhaps most notable of all in the United States. White men have not seen much success in the past 4 years.
He's a racist.
I was actually happy you cited the Bureau of Labor.
Simon's obviously a racist.
Because they had an interesting data piece in there that Asian women now actually have higher incomes than white men for the first time in history.
Yeah, I'll admit, I'll be the first to admit that that's obviously an injustice and that it's wrong and it should be done something about. Asian women should be rounded up like Roosevelt did and put in camps and shit.
What frustrates me, though, is you have these groups that are doing very well under Trump, basically everyone who's not a white male or a straight white male. And yet, when you listen to Trump on the campaign rally in the closing month, you know, he's got his platinum plan for the blacks,
Right.
$500 billion. He's got his great American dream plan or whatever for the Mexicans or the Hispanics or whatever he wants to, you know, Latinx, whatever the trendy term is this month. But, you know, it seems like there's a total abdication from either party of, you know, really white people in general, but especially white men.
Okay. So
The whites leaving the Republican Party is the most interesting trend in politics.
Oh, that's not
So,
happening.
all right, Simon, listen to me, honey. That's bullshit, A. And B, what are you going to do? Vote for Joe Biden? Vote for the Harris-Biden ticket? Because you're mad at Donald Trump because Asian women are more employed than you and me? Is that what you're going to do? I think you're not seeing...
White men are relegated to the fringes.
Simon,
Oh, they're not relegated.
Simon, shut the fuck up. White men are not relegated to the fringes any more than anybody else is relegated to the fringes, all right? We're not relegated to the fringes. Some of us like to operate at the fringes. Yeah, just turn him off. Some of us like to operate at the fringes, but we're not being relegated to the fringes. Nobody relegates me, right? Do I look like I'm relegatable? I'm not relegated to anything, you know. Up until just recently. In fact, I was perfectly happy in January when absolutely nobody was fucking with me, right? But now everybody is fucking with me, and I don't like that, and that's not Donald Trump's fault. He's failed to do some shit he should have done. He's not done some stuff that he should have done. He's done things he shouldn't have done. But look at the whole. Look at the whole here. Interest rates are way too damn low because the national debt is way too high. Okay? And that's a serious problem, you know, for retirees and people that are counting on being able to make money on investments. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are wrong, but he's been there for 3.5 years. You know, let's give him some more time and see what he comes up with, and I'll bet that even you are going to be happy by 2024.
Hello.
Hello.
You are on Starting Strength Radio. That's
Welcome to Starting Strength Radio. Hello.
with
Hi.
Mark Ripito.
Welcome to the show. Hi. Hello. All right, get rid of him.
Oh man, come on, man.
Come on, man. You got sitting there.
You got to be ready. You got to be ready to go.
Got to be ready to go.
A guy on the comments, Philip Yazbek, just said, "Rip just made me feel like a little bitch." Mission accomplished.
Good.
Maybe he doesn't deadlift 500
He doesn't.
yet.
He doesn't deadlift
Yeah.
315. He thinks that's strong.
You are on Starting Strength Radio with Mark Ripito.
Hey, Rip, how's it going?
Good. 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 How are you?
I'm doing all right. I've got a programming question.
All right.
So, about the last 2 weeks, I was up to squatting 300 pounds and deadlifting about 335, 340, which, given your comments just now, definitely not a D1 athlete for my...
No. That's inadequate. But go ahead.
But my question with that is, like, the last 2 weeks, for whatever reason, even my warm-up sets had felt absolutely like I was just gassed. And I don't know if it was like stress or just I felt like I was sleeping well enough. But for whatever reason, even warming up around like 275 in terms of squats just felt exhausting. And it almost felt like I was unable to barely get through anything. I'm thinking it could just be nutrition. Maybe I'm just not eating enough at this point.
That's usually the case. How many reps are you doing with 275 before your work set?
So before the work set, usually about 2 to 3 reps around 275, just to try and make sure the muscles are still warming.
Well, that should be a single, not a triple. Last warm up should always be a single. But the situation is almost always, if your sleep's in order, then you've got some bizarre notion of a cut in your mind with respect to your diet. How many grams of protein are you eating a day?
Usually about 2 to 225. I'm 6'3" and weigh 235 pounds.
Well,
there
you're
you go.
under eating protein. And how many? What's your total calorie intake?
Usually right about now between about 3,500 to about 4,000, depending. Which I'm thinking I probably just need to even up that a little bit more, given the weight I'm starting to lift.
You need a protein drink. I don't normally advise a protein drink, but you're a classic example of a guy that needs about a 70 gram of whey protein isolate protein drink and about 750 calories in a protein drink added to what you're already doing now. If you do that, everything will get better immediately. But that having been said, have you videoed any of these sets that you said felt like shit?
Yeah, well, not the one that it felt like shit. Like lately, it's not been as bad. I cut down the weight a little bit, and I'm just starting to work my way back up again.
Well, it's always easier to cut down the weight, and they will feel, light weights do feel better than heavy weights. But that's not my question. My question is, did you video one of the sets that looked like shit, or you say felt like shit, rather, and what did it look like? Was the bar speed lower?
The bar speed coming back up was a lot slower than what it normally was. And I was trying to break down everything I was trying to do. And I posted onto some of the starting strength forums on Reddit.
That Reddit is the wrong place to post anything. My God, you might as well have posted that on the community bulletin board at a state hospital.
In the COVID ward.
In the COVID ward of a state hospital. In the ward for the criminally insane, like people that eat each other's organs and shit. That's where you might as well, if you're going to post it on Reddit, that's where you want to put it, But here's the problem. Over and over and over again, we have proven to ourselves, those of us that are paying attention, that your perceptions of the effort are absolutely and completely unreliable. Things that feel like shit may in fact not look like shit and may not be like shit. I have this happen to me all the time. All the time. I recently, I don't even remember if I put this on the podcast or if I said this in a seminar one time, where we've got I was doing box squats one night and everything felt like shit. 135 felt like shit. The empty bar felt like shit. I'd been feeling like shit. Back's been hurting. SI joints been bothering me. 135 felt like shit. I did 3 or 4 sets with 135. Went to 2 1/4. Everything felt like shit. 2 1/4 felt like shit. 275 felt like absolute shit. So I'm going to do 305, and I'm going to do a triple. And with 305. And I've got, it felt like such shit that I got a couple of spotters. Normally I don't use spotters when I train, but everything felt so bad, and I thought, I'm going to die. So I had these guys come over and look at it. So I took the first rep, took the set out of the rack, did the first rep, went down, paused on the box, came back up and said, oh my God, that really felt like shit. And, but I'm here. I tried the next one, see what happens. So I did the second rep, and it felt even worse. It felt like shit. It felt like if I did a third rep that I was going to die. But I'm an old guy. I don't care if I die. So I took the third rep down, stood back up, felt grindy and slow and looked, felt like the worst thing that had ever happened to me. So I racked it. And I'm standing there feeling sorry for myself at the fucking rack. And I said, God, those things, they really felt like shit. And both of the spotters said they all three looked exactly the same. They looked exactly the same. I said, that is not possible. The third rep had to have taken twice as long as the first two. It had to have taken. The bar speed had to be low. They said it was this. Both of them agreed. It was the same effort. Now, my perception of the effort at that point is irrelevant, isn't it? I mean, it's interesting because it makes this wonderful story. But in terms of the actual training effort, if the bar speed is the same, then the force production is the same. All right? My point here is that your perception of what that felt like is of little use. And it is of absolutely no use if your perception of a warm-up is then used to alter the programming for the work sets that day. If you allow that to happen, you're just being a fucking pussy. And it's wonderful to give yourself permission to be a pussy and call it RPE, okay? But it doesn't alter the fact that you're giving yourself permission to be a fucking pussy. Because you don't know you can't do it until you fail it. You don't know. I've been doing this 43 years. And I don't know. All right? And you don't know. All right? Until you do it, you don't know. Now, I understand things feel like shit, and your situation is probably your diet. That's probably true, but do not use difficulty to make things lighter, because lighter is not stronger. Strength is production of force against an external resistance, and strength doesn't go up unless the external resistance goes up. And that's all there is to it. Okay?
Your bar speed and your how the rep feels is, look at those as just data points, things to consider. But if you want to have some objective measures, which is the weight on the bar is the most important, right? So the weight on the bar has to go up. And then for a guy your height and your weight, if you're not steadily increasing in body weight, whatever, a pound a week, pound every other week or something, and the bar speed is slowing down and your warm-ups feel like shit, it's time to increase your calories. And you're there now. The Rick's advice is solid. Yeah, you're there.
You're in a situation. You're just not eating enough protein, not enough food.
Yeah, because I've been stuck. I've been probably sitting at around 235 now for at least a month or so.
And he's 6'3".
You're 6'3". You need to think in terms of 275. Your best numbers are going to happen at 275, 300. All right? And by best numbers, I mean squats, deadlifts, and high six.
Yeah.
That's possible without a powerlifting specialization.
Yep.
Okay? Thanks for the call, man.
Some dude named Brett Bordelon just gave you $100.
Why?
So you could pay Bree, I guess. Now we can pay Bree something.
Well, whatever you think. Okay. He probably recognized the fact that me calling him a fucking pussy was true and constructive.
We can ask people for money.
We don't ask people for
We don't
money,
ask
but
people for
they can
money.
give us money if they want.
They can pay Bree, though.
I don't know what makes you think that you're going to get the money just because somebody gave
It's
it.
got to go through Rippito.
We may need it to.
You got one fucking foot out the door.
We may need it to correct some horrible fucking mistake that you've already made. You might have made a $300 mistake, and you're only a third of the way good on that. If this guy's $100 gets applied
Buy
to
me
your
dinner.
300 mistakes, you won't eat it. I'm not going to buy you white paste.
You know
for
what
dinner.
she ate today? She told me it was
A boiled
no.
chicken breast.
No, it's better than
White
that.
rice.
no cream of rice and ground beef. Cream of rice
And
and ground beef with green hot sauce on top.
Bree's so exciting. There's just no telling what she'll do next.
I just don't feel
She's like a.
She goes, I just don't feel like fixing rice.
Oh my God.
There we go.
Okay, let's do another one here, shall we? Welcome to Starting Strength Radio.
Hey, Rip, thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, this guy.
Oh, who's this guy?
I don't know. He's got a good voice, though.
He's got a frog in his throat. Are you sick, or is this just the way you talk?
Oh, I got the deadly COVID-19, man.
He's COVID-19 dead. There's no more dead than COVID-19 dead.
Yeah, but I play football and wanted to ask you a question. Our strength coach is going through a little phase.
Oh no.
The eccentric and isometric variations of the compound lifts, the bench, and the squat.
Right.
I kind of wanted to know what you thought about the at the bottom or go down for 3 seconds.
What do you think I think about it? Let's see how much you know. What do you think I think about that?
Place for them somewhere, but probably not for 20-year-old football players.
No. You realize, of course, that the reason we use these lifts is because they already have concentric, isometric, and eccentric components. You can't execute them without all three things happening in the appropriate place at the appropriate time in the appropriate part of the kinetic chain. Your not just your strength coach. Strength coaches, as a general rule across this industry, feel it necessary to justify their existence by coming up with complicated ways to do shit that should be simple. You know, get the deadlift. It doesn't matter what the descent time and the time under tension, all that other shit. Did your deadlift go up from 365 to 575 during the 2 years that you were with the strength coach? If it did, he's doing his job. If it didn't, he's not doing his job. That's all there is to it. In other words, does he know how to show you how to deadlift correctly? And then go up 5 pounds on your set of 5. I understand that it would be, a lot more romantic if there was some kind of trick to this, but there's not a trick to it. It's go up 5 pounds is the trick. Go up 5 pounds. Can you go up 5 pounds? Then you need to go up 5 pounds because that means you're stronger. And anything that involves not going up 5 pounds is not getting the job done. I mean, you understand this, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you understand this. All right. Why doesn't he understand this? Is he just not particularly intelligent? Or is he one of these people that thinks that complexity is necessary instead of simplicity? You understand that complexity appeals to stupid people. If it
Hold on to that.
Yeah, if it looks fancy and it looks fancy and complicated and shit, then when the athletic director walks downstairs and sees all the kids in the weight room doing something complicated, then the athletic director will say, "Man, that looks complicated. I don't even know what he's doing. I guess he must be doing the right thing. Let's keep him on for the next year." Right? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Me deadlifting 710 pounds is a little less sexy, I guess.
Yeah, that's less sexy than you're doing 375 pounds with a pause on the way down and on the way up or whatever insane shit he comes up with to have you look complicated. So, I wish I could tell you what to do about it. All I can tell you is that you need to be strong, and if he won't let you get strong in his weight room, then you're going to have to go to another one. and do your own strength and conditioning. And just go in for him and sandbag so it doesn't interfere with your actual training. Oh, shit. Thanks for the call, man.
Seems like the same issues every time we do this.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Somebody wants to do high volume on a cut. Somebody calls because their coach is shitty. And then we get Simon.
And then Simon calls in.
Hey, you know when this
Simon
runs,
calls in.
we'll have have had an election, and the United States will be on fire.
Yeah. Yes. No,
This runs
you're
next
absolutely
Friday.
right. We're recording this on Thursday, the Thursday before next Tuesday's November 3rd
I think it's
election.
Friday today.
Significant portions of the Democrat do what? Friday. Oh, it's Friday. Oh, shit, we're even closer because Rusty fucked up. All right. The well, Bree fucked up too, but he's responsible and you're not. So anyway, it's Friday. We got 4 days till the election. And when you are watching this, it will be the Friday after the election, just so you'll know.
In your bunker.
The miracle of mechanical reproduction. You're going to be in your bunker, and ashes are going to be raining down on you from the fires set by the rioters, especially if you live in a Democrat administration. And, man, I don't know what to tell you.
Don't come to
what to do.
Texas.
We don't want you here.
I mean, we're already halfway fucked.
You know, we got Austin to deal with.
And Abbott.
Abbott, who we had high hopes for, who has allowed Florida to out Texas.
That's right.
Ah.
It's unbelievable.
And
Georgia.
so
He allowed
Georgia
out Texas.
Georgia out
Come
Texas.
I'll say, in the words of Joe Biden, come on, man.
Come on, man. South Dakota out Texasing Texas. Come on, man. God damn it.
Amazing.
It's just amazing. All right, let's talk to somebody else here.
Here we go.
All right. All right, talk to me.
My name is Dan. I'm from Minnesota. I'm going to get right to it because I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while.
All right.
Most of my friends and family that work out focus on aesthetics.
Sure.
Only one in my group that focuses on strength.
And you're the best looking one of the bunch, aren't you?
Well, that's exactly where we're going with the question. I am in the 19 to 20% body fat range. It's just a guess because I don't give a shit.
Right, good.
All about strength.
Right.
I want to be strong. And this is the best quote I've ever heard in my life. I think you'll agree. It'll be up there. Is when you get old, you're only as old as your back is. And I want a strong fucking back when I get old,
Yep.
you know? So anyway, I want to get to the question. Tell me your thoughts on the difference between the mentality of somebody who's focusing on aesthetics and doesn't realize that lowering their body fat percentage too much can harm their immune system, can cause them to go through more injuries. And overall, it's additional stress that you're putting on your brain that you don't need.
Sure.
Versus what I do is I literally just focus on the numbers and healing post-workout. I listen to my body. Just a quick, my numbers, I'm 5'7", I'm 180 pounds, deadlift 430, I squat 420, I bench 300. I know that's not strong in your book.
No, that's not bad for 5'7", 180. That's not bad. I think you'll be happier at 198.
Yeah, I need to get there. I need to eat more.
But it'll, you know that, so you're not laboring under the delusion that you need to try to get stronger at the same body weight, because that doesn't happen under normal circumstances. That doesn't happen unless you've got a whole bunch of body fat to lose, and you don't. Like if your body fat was 35%, this would be a different conversation. But it's not. You're 19-20% body fat, which is normal male body fat. I can hear the screaming now. No, you need to be as low a body fat as no. Look, humans aren't designed to have paper thin skin. That's not how humans evolved. We don't do that. We store fat sub-Q. That's part of the species. Horses don't do that, but people do. Okay? And people have developed the ability to store sub-Q body fat through hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. It's a good place to carry extra calories. It affords protection from blows. There's lots and lots. Insulation, there's lots of things that sub-Q body fat does. It doesn't need to be 35%. But to think that it needs to be 8% is insane. All right? Now, where have these people come up with this aesthetic image that they carry around in their brains that burden their ability to train effectively? Well, the bodybuilding magazines, the internet, all this glorification of abs that started back in the 1960s with the magazines. It hadn't gone away. We don't really have magazines anymore, but for decades, the Weider organization was very, very good at getting their products on the magazine shelves at the checkout stands of the grocery store. How many hundreds of millions of people saw that and had it burned into their brain that abs and low body fat and vascularity and extreme muscularity were normal human attributes and were healthy? People don't understand. People don't understand that that type of low body fat, that extreme low body fat situation is a little snapshot in 6 months worth of training. That's when the photo session was taken. Photo session was taken at the peak of this development. And it lasts for a few hours one day. But that's what we're shown over and over and over. That's what we're shown. And everybody thinks it looks cool because you've been taught to think it looks cool. And as a result of that, you carry around this, what is actually a false perception of aesthetic goodness. All right? When in reality, the male physique looks its best at between 15 and 20% body fat, with a big neck, with prominent traps, with big shoulders, big forearms, not necessarily big biceps, but big forearms, a waist that drops down from the lats, and hips that go backward and out to instead of out to the side, and bigger quads. That's in clothes. Like most of us aren't, like naked in the fucking grocery store and shit. In clothes, that is the aesthetic appearance that the vast majority of both men and women recognize as a masculine ideal. All right? If you go to the grocery store in your clothes and you've got razor abs at a body weight of 165 and you're 5'9", what do you look like in clothes? You look like a guy that doesn't train.
Like a skinny dude. Right?
You look like a little skinny guy. It doesn't matter what your abs look like. Nobody can see the goddamn things. And nobody cares about them either. Right? An impressive male physique, starting at the top, is big neck, big traps, wide delts, gnarly looking forearms, a waist smaller than the lats, and a sweeping quad and hips that go back, prominent hips, your glutes. And where does all that come from? It comes from deadlifts and squats and presses, right? Even your pecs don't matter that much. Pecs are a relatively recent phenomenon. Yeah, really, no shit. If you'll look at the Roman statues, do you notice prominent pecs on Roman statues? Those Roman statues were ideals of the physique 2,000 years ago, right? And look what they were showing. Traps, forearms, sweep of a lat, big legs, big hips, right?
Ignore the tiny wiener.
Ignore the tiny wiener because that's a fashion thing. They didn't have BBC porn back then, right? Nobody'd figure it out.
What's that? What's
Nobody,
BBC?
it's irrelevant.
All right, I'll Google
all right, so
Google it.
yeah, Google that. And
There might be kids listening.
so, there are kids listening. You know how many kids we educate every week in ways their parents don't want them to be educated. So
He's shuffling the kids out, right?
So the situation is that your people, your buddies, with this warped view of aesthetics, are just typical 21st century human beings. The poor things. If the last 9 months of this fucking insanity hadn't taught us anything, it has taught us that the general public is like a little baby bird in the nest with its mouth open, waiting to be fed by mama. Anything they stick in the little baby bird's mouth, the baby bird will swallow. Because it's just a little baby bird and they're not capable of anything else. They're not capable of discernment. General public has an IQ of 105. It's just, you and I.
They can't make their own choices.
No, they've been taught not to. They've been taught not to. And guys like you and me, who think for themselves are assholes, aren't we? We are perceived as assholes. Who do you know that's an asshole? A classic asshole. He's a guy that won't just play along, right? Yeah, just we're assholes. I'm real sorry, but I don't mind being considered an asshole. It doesn't bother me at all. If I was perceived as one of these go along, get along guys in the grocery store with a mask, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be ashamed of myself.
One more quick question for you, and then I'm sure there's other callers.
Yeah, we've got
Everything I want. But real quick, just talk about the benefits. This is for non-competitors who strength train, who want to be strong, and specifically strong in older age in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. That's my goal. I don't give a shit about right now. I want to be that dad in 20 years that when you take my daughter on a date, you think twice about being respectful. That's kind of my dream. Sure. But talk about the benefit of when you don't think about body fat and you just forget body fat. Obviously, if you're under obesity, which you were saying 35%, right? So we're not talking about that. We're talking about, 15 to 20, 25% people that work out. Talk about the benefits of of your immune system, how you can fight off bacteria, viruses, and like you said, also the physical aspect of you carry more fat, you got more cushion. You bump into something, you don't get hurt. So just talk about the benefits of, forget all these little boys who are talking about getting skinnier. Talk about the benefit of forget fat and just focus on strength training, and you're going to slowly notice that your muscles get bigger, you lose a little bit of fat, and you feel great. I feel great. I don't get sick.
No, I understand. I know what you're asking. Thanks for the call. All right, here's the situation. All right, we live in a horribly obese society. We live in a society where people sit around on their ass on the couch, eat chips and drink Cokes and get fat. All right, the typical American is a fat person, right? I mean, just go to the grocery store if you can stomach it, and look around you. It is necessary to understand that we need to be concerned about body fat. All right, that's a necessary thing because most people in this country are fat. And we're not advocating for 30% body fat. We're not advocating for 25% body fat, even though I'm 25% body fat, but I'm 64. You know, I mean, I can't do physically the shit that I used to be able to do because of injuries and age. But if you're a 25-year-old guy and you're carrying 25% body fat, that's probably a little bit too high. If you're at 30% body fat, that's unnecessarily high. I'm not saying everybody needs to be fat. But to his point, if you are a 65-year-old man and you are 5'8", and you weigh 155 pounds, and you're skinny, you look like a runner, you know, you're the picture of what everybody considers to be health. Versus the same guy that's 5'8", that weighs 225 at the age of 65, and both of you get pneumonia. Who gets out of it the easiest? Now, this is something you need to think about if you're 65. If you're a 65-year-old runner and you've intentionally kept your body weight down to 155, or even worse, if you're a guy that works hard and has not eaten enough and finds himself tired and used up at the end of every single day, and you're weighing 155, you're not eating enough, and you get sick. Body weight helps fight this off, okay? There are serious, important components of your immune system that are contained within your muscle mass. And a more robust body composition is much more able to fight off a bunch of inflammation than is a little skinny guy's body. You know, little skinny guys that are old are frail. That's really the term. They're frail. And frailty kills people. All right? You're familiar with it killing your grandmother. You don't think of your grandfather in those terms, but it's the same thing. Frailty is associated with a very light body weight. Don't be the skinny guy. And don't go through your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s thinking that 155 is a good body weight, because it's not. You know, the lowest total morbidity is kind of in the belly of that reverse bell curve that is found at BMIs that are overweight and slightly obese. That's where people do the best. All right, this has been looked at, and it's not my data, it's data. All right, and he's right. Caller's correct. It's just a matter of being able to wrap your head around the idea that visible abs are not the mirror of your health. All right? Your strength is the mirror of your health, and your strength is better at a heavier body weight. All right, look, don't ask a stupid question, okay? This is probably going to be the last one because the show's getting too long.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? I have a programming question. COVID made me redo LP, as most people have. I'm 6'4". I think I'm a little bit under body weight. I know you're going to tell me that. I'm 225. I squatted 355 for 3 sets of 5 today, and deadlifted 1 set of 5, 355, and benched 210 for 5 sets of 3. And my question is I'm moving in the early intermediate programming. I'm also 25 years old. Do you favor like a 4-day split or more of a Texas method or heavy, light, medium type programming?
I favor you're not deciding to go to an intermediate program yet, because you don't need to do it. At 6'4", 225, your numbers ought to be way up in the 4s for the squat and the deadlift. Your bench ought to be approaching 300. Your press ought to be, in the high 1s up toward 200 pounds. I don't think that you are anywhere near the end of your novice progression. I think you need to gain about 20 more pounds And I think you just need to keep adding weight every workout until that no longer works. So you're already making plans to fail. So you're fucking up.
I mean, I could see things slowing down. The last
You could see, but you could see things slowing down at 6'4" and 225.
right.
Okay? They don't have to slow down because you don't have to be 6'4" and 225. How long do you take between, let's go through the first three questions, all right? How long do you take between your work sets?
Right now, 7.5 to 8 minutes.
It's not long enough.
Okay.
Take 10 minutes between your work sets. All right? How many calories a day are you eating and how many grams of protein is included in that?
Having about 225 grams of protein and 4,000 calories.
This sounds like this previous guy. This is the second time I've talked to you today.
Yeah.
Why don't you take your protein up to 300 and take your calories up to 4,500? You're a big man. You need to eat more than you're eating. All right? You're sleeping okay, right?
Yeah, 8 hours.
This is a situation where we don't need to talk about intermediate programming for you right now. Now, when it comes time for intermediate, how old are you?
25.
You have a job and shit, and you work and responsibilities, that sort of thing?
Yes, I do.
Well, under those circumstances, Texas method is hard to do because the workouts are very time-consuming. 5 sets of 5. Monday's workout in the Texas method takes about 2.5 hours. There's no way to make it shorter than that.
Well, he asked about a 4-day split, and that's exactly.
And a 4-day split is exactly
what
what you ought to do. 4-day split's exactly what you ought to do, but not now. You're still a novice.
Oh, you're a couple months at least.
You're
away.
2 months, 3 months maybe away from needing to do this. But you're
5 pounds for 16 weeks now. So, that's why I thought.
But your numbers, I understand that, but your numbers do not indicate that your numbers, your body weight, and your height don't indicate that you're near the end of your potential for the novice progression.
How many more weeks you think I got?
I think 2-3 months.
Look, if you do it right, meaning that you're 225 right now, so at the end of 2 months, you should be at 240. 245.
245.
245, and then you continue your LP, you've got 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly reasonable for a guy your size.
It certainly is. And you're in a real good situation here.
Yep.
You've got the potential to get real fucking strong. And if you'll just take advantage of it by eating enough, you're not anywhere close to being through with this. You may find that you may deadlift 505 at the end of this.
That's right.
At the end of this novice thing.
That's right.
I would expect that you would deadlift 505 at the end.
How
of this
long have you
novice
been
thing.
at a body weight of 225?
It has kind of stagnated. So I started the LP at 205, and I've eaten my way up to 225. But I've probably been there for 2 to 3 weeks now.
Yeah, look, man, you gain another 15, 25 pounds, and magic will happen.
Yep, you have no idea. You have no idea. Eat more, add 5 pounds, go on up.
So, but yeah, no, I definitely thanks for the advice and thanks for the help.
All right.
Good luck.
Cool. Thanks for the call. All right, you want to do one more?
Let's do it.
Let's do one more. All right, this is the last call because you got shit to do, and much more importantly, we got shit to do.
Let's hope it's a good one.
Hello, Rip. How are you?
I'm fine. You?
Pretty good. Thank you for picking up on the call.
Sure.
I have a quick programming question.
All right.
I've been training just specifically on the linear progression for about 5 months since Ohio decided to open up the gyms. Before then, I was just into like bodybuilding, eating like shit here and there, going to the weight room, and it was mostly just sets of 8, sets of 10.
Yeah.
And since I started, everything obviously went up. I gained about 20 pounds. I'm 180, 5'11". I just have a question about my bench press. It's I should mention that I have a labral tear in the right shoulder. And I saw a PT about that, and ironically, he told me to keep going to the gym and lifting heavy, which was surprising for a doctor.
Well, he's a PT. He's not a doctor.
Awesome. What was that?
He's a PT. He's not a doctor.
Right. Well, most of the time, they'll tell you to not hold it off with the weight or do light shit.
They're in solidarity. I know. You're right.
Yeah. Well,
PTs think they're doctors.
yeah. And I got an MRI about that, but I'm still waiting for it. But the labral tear is what we think it is. And I'm wondering if that's what's halting my bench, because my squat went up from about 225 to 350, deadlift from 250 to 395. But the bench has only gone up about, 40 pounds. I'm only at 220 right now.
Well, what's stopping you? The pain?
It might be a situation where I'm eating too much, but I had a question regarding...
You're not eating too much. You're 5'11", 180, you're not eating too much. What's stopping the progress in the bench? The pain?
I was thinking it was pain, but it never really gets to the point where I can't bench anymore. It just hurts, and then I give it a day, and it's back to normal.
No, I'm talking about during the execution of a set of 5 with another 2.5 pounds on the bar. What stops you from getting the 5th rep?
Just, I feel too weak.
Well, it's not the labral tear is not doing that then.
All right. Okay. Well, my question was, is it possible that the bodybuilding work that I did before on the bench, because that was the only exercise I really did, which was probably a mistake, but is it possible that that lift is just done, or do I just have to keep on gaining weight and keep going?
What are you benching?
About 180 for 3x5.
No, you're not. Your bench is not peaked out. you're benching body weight for 3 sets of 5. No, sir, that's not the problem. All right.
So just keep with the food.
Right. Eat more. Get your body weight up. At 5'11", 180, you're still underweight. And if you are you taking appropriate jumps in the bench? You're not trying to take 5-pound jumps in the bench, are you?
I'm going 2.5 pound jumps. I recently ordered some 1.25 plates. Actually,
I think you need to take some smaller jumps. Try 2-pound jumps. Get equipped to take appropriate jumps. The bench and the press don't go up 5 pounds at a time. They may not go up 2.5 pounds at a time. As long as they go up something, every workout you're getting stronger, and time adds the thing up to actual bench press. But at your body weight for 3 sets of 5, you're not even close to doing this. If the pain in your shoulder is not the bottleneck at the end of the set, then that injury is not causing the problem. Okay.
Okay. And is that would that be a problem on the press?
The labral tear?
Yes, because that does hurt a lot when I press.
It does hurt when you press.
Yes.
Well, this indicates the direction of that tear. All right. If you've got a labral tear, how did you get this? Do you know?
Tennis, actually. I played tennis a few years.
Well,
and I went up for it.
I think it probably needs to be repaired. Labral surgery is usually fairly successful. You're probably going to want to get it fixed at some point, so that you can. That way, you remove that variable from your training. And if you want to play tennis again, you can do that. But at your age, I would have that fixed. I would certainly, at my age, I would not. But at your age, I would have it fixed. Okay. But that's not the problem with the bench press. Okay. All right. Thanks for the call.
Was that good enough to finish?
Good enough.
All right.
I think we got enough, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's, people have already hung up because we're through with. People have a finite amount of patience for this shit. Not everybody can do a 2-hour and 45-minute podcast and retain all the listeners to the dead ass end of it. I certainly can't. I don't expect anyone to be able to tolerate my ass for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I have a hard time doing that myself. At some point during the day, I just have to take a nap because I'm tired of dealing with myself. All right? So, it's understandable. Well, anyway, thank you guys for being with us today. And these little call-in things are fun. They're easy for us to do. You'll notice the absence of any preparation. Just coffee.
On your part, fuck.
You mean you have to do things for this?
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah.
What do you have to do
Nothing.
for this?
No,
you
nothing.
Plug some stuff in and get the phone on the,
That's it.
on the desk.
No big deal.
See the phone? I mean, what did she do?
She didn't do shit.
She didn't do a goddamn thing. She printed out 4 pages of comments from the
2
haters
minutes before we
and
started.
sat on her dead ass the whole time over there and did that to the camera once. All right? Well,
scrolled Instagram a bunch, probably.
Yeah, I looked at porn, whatever it is she does.
Whatever she does on it, yeah.
Well, anyway. Okay. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next Friday at Starting Strength Radio.